Pour yourself a cup of curiosity, because every sip reveals a new mystery. This is Mystery Mug, where the ordinary brews into the extraordinary. Imagine falling from 33,000 feet in the air, with nothing to break your fall but the cold, unforgiving earth below. Most would never survive such a fall, let alone live to tell the tale. But what if I told you that one woman did? What if she not only survived the impossible, but went on to defy all odds, becoming a global symbol of resilience and survival? This is the incredible, miraculous story of Vesna Vulović, the woman who fell from the sky and lived. Stick around, because what you're about to hear will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about survival, fate, and the sheer power of the human spirit. It was a cold January afternoon in 1972 when Vesna Vulović, a 22-year-old flight attendant, boarded JAT Airways Flight 367 at Stockholm Arlanda Airport. The early afternoon sun cast long shadows over the tarmac. Planes taxied to and fro, their engines humming like an orchestra of aviation. The bustling airport was alive with energy, yet Vesna couldn't shake an unusual sense of unease. For her, this was just another day, another routine flight, nothing out of the ordinary, or so she thought. As she walked toward the plane, that uneasiness lingered. There was a subtle tension in the air, almost imperceptible yet impossible to ignore. Her colleagues acted strangely, quieter than usual. There was no lively banter, no casual jokes to ease the pre-flight jitters. Instead, they exchanged glances that Vesna couldn't quite read. A faint melancholy hung over the crew like a shadow. It wasn't just pre-flight nerves. Something felt wrong. Vesna shook it off. After all, she was there to do her job, to serve passengers with care, calm their nerves, and ensure the flight went smoothly. This flight, from Stockholm to Belgrade, with a stopover in Copenhagen, wasn't supposed to be any different, until it was. As she boarded the McDonnell Douglas DC-9, Vesna greeted the crew with her usual warmth. Polite smiles were exchanged, but there was something in their eyes, a flicker of unease, a shared understanding that Vesna wouldn't notice until much later. The passengers trickled in. The cabin buzzed with quiet murmurs as they found their seats, fastened their seatbelts, and settled in for the journey ahead. The engines roared to life. The plane surged down the runway, gaining speed, until the world outside blurred into streaks of light and shadow. Once airborne, the captain switched on the fasten seatbelt sign. Vesna went to work, moving gracefully down the aisles, serving drinks, offering smiles, and maintaining the calm, predictable rhythm of a flight crew's duties. It was all so routine, so normal. Yet deep down, Vesna couldn't shake the feeling that this calm was an illusion, one that was about to shatter. Just an hour into the flight, as the plane cruised at an altitude of 33,000 feet, Vesna felt it, a shift. The air itself seemed to change, as though the atmosphere inside the cabin grew heavier. At first, there was nothing unusual. The passengers were murmuring quietly. The attendants were moving about, performing their duties. Then came the faintest tremor. It was so subtle that Vesna barely noticed at first, just a slight jolt, like turbulence skimming the edge of a cloud. But then it happened again, stronger this time. Her stomach tightened, something was wrong. And then, a deafening blast ripped through the fuselage of the plane. Metal twisted and groaned as the structure of the aircraft tore apart with a force so violent it could barely be comprehended. One moment, Vesna was standing, serving passengers with practiced ease. The next, she was slammed to the floor by an invisible force that felt like an earthquake in the sky. Screams filled the air. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling. The cabin was engulfed in chaos. Vesna tried to move, tried to make sense of the destruction around her, but the floor beneath her buckled and collapsed. She was thrown violently toward the rear of the plane. And then, blackness. When Vesna regained awareness, she was falling. The weightless sensation was disorienting. The wind roared past her, shrill and merciless, as her body tumbled uncontrollably through the open sky. The plane was gone. The passengers, the crew, the cabin, all of it had vanished into oblivion. There was nothing now but Vesna and the unforgiving void. Imagine it, 33,000 feet, plummeting toward the earth. The clouds rushed past her, blurring with the dizzying blue of the sky. The ground was so far below that it was little more than a blur of white and brown. Certain death awaited her, or so it seemed. As her body hurtled through the atmosphere, something extraordinary happened. It was as though time itself slowed. Vesna felt detached from reality, almost as though she were watching herself fall, suspended in a surreal dream. Against all logic, she remained conscious. The wreckage of the plane began to break apart around her, and in an incredible twist of fate, a section of the fuselage cushioned her fall. The snowy mountainside below, a dense forest of trees and frost, absorbed much of the impact. Her body hit the ground with unimaginable force. Bones shattered, her skull fractured. Her spine and pelvis broke under the strain of the impact. Yet Vesna Vulović survived. Her broken body lay amidst the wreckage, cradled by the snow and debris, unconscious, barely clinging to life. And then fate intervened once more. A man named Bruno Honke, a former World War II medic, found her. He was combing through the crash site searching for survivors when he discovered Vesna. He couldn't believe his eyes. She was alive. Though gravely injured, though battered beyond belief, Vesna's heart was still beating. Against all odds, her story was just beginning. What followed was a journey unlike any other, a battle for survival, a miraculous recovery, and the creation of a legacy that would astonish the world. Vesna had no memory of the explosion, no recollection of falling through the sky. Her mind, in a desperate attempt to protect her from the trauma, had erased those moments completely. Instead, she awoke to a fractured body. Her skull had been cracked, her legs were broken. Her spine, shattered in several places, left her paralyzed from the waist down. The doctors were astounded she had survived at all, let alone regained consciousness. Her survival defied explanation. Some speculated that the cold, snowy conditions of the crash site had slowed her heart rate, preventing her from bleeding out. Others believed the wreckage of the plane had absorbed enough of the impact to save her. But there was no scientific consensus. Only one thing was clear: Vesna's survival was nothing short of a miracle. As the weeks turned into months, Vesna's recovery became a testament to the resilience of the human body and the unyielding power of the human spirit. Surgeries were performed to stabilize her spine, to repair her shattered bones, and to save her life. The pain was excruciating, the physical therapy grueling, but Vesna refused to give up. Her spirit was as unbreakable as her survival had been improbable. Doctors told her she would never walk again. She met their grim prognosis with quiet determination. Slowly, painfully, Vesna began to regain strength. Months later, against all odds, she stood. Her legs, though damaged and weak, carried her forward once more. She walked with a limp, a reminder of the fall that should have killed her. But she walked, and with every step, she defied the impossible. While her body healed, her mind bore a different kind of burden. Survivor's guilt gnawed at her. 27 passengers and crew had died in the crash. She was the only one who had lived. Why? Why had she been spared? The news of Vesna's survival spread like wildfire. She became an instant celebrity, a living miracle. Yugoslavia hailed her as a national hero, and her story captivated the world. The Guinness Book of World Records honored her with the title of surviving the highest fall without a parachute. Her name became synonymous with resilience, but fame did not erase the pain. Vesna struggled with the emotional scars of the crash. Her parents, who had sacrificed everything to fund her medical treatments, passed away prematurely, a loss she blamed on the stress her survival had placed on them. Her guilt deepened, as did her struggles with the memories of that day. Yet, Vesna's life was not defined solely by tragedy. She found joy in the little things, sharing her story, inspiring others, finding solace in her faith. She even laughed about her survival, joking that her love of chocolate, spinach, and fish oil had saved her, and she lived on her own terms. In 1977, Vesna married Nikola Breka, a mechanical engineer. Their marriage was not without challenges, ultimately ending in divorce, but Vesna cherished the love they shared. She continued to live in Belgrade, where she became a beloved public figure. Songs were written in her honor. People stopped her on the street to shake her hand, to hear her story. To them, she wasn't just a survivor. She was a symbol of hope. but Vesna's health was fragile. Years after the crash, she battled heart ailments, a reminder of the toll her body had endured. Still, she remained fiercely independent, living modestly and finding peace in her later years. Her life was quiet but full. She had defied the odds, and she had lived. Until December 23, 2016. At the age of 66, Vesna Vulović passed away in her Belgrade apartment. Her death was peaceful, her life extraordinary. She had survived the impossible, and in doing so, she had left behind a legacy that would inspire generations. Vesna's story reminds us of the incredible strength within each of us. Her fall from 33,000 feet wasn't just a tale of survival. It was a testament to the human spirit, to resilience, to hope, and to the belief that even in our darkest moments, we can rise again. She may have fallen from the sky, but Vesna Vulović soared higher than most of us ever will. Her life ended, but her legend, it lives on. Did today's mystery leave you guessing? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed unraveling this story, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with fellow mystery seekers. And make sure to subscribe to Mystery Mug for your next dose of the unexplained. Until next time, keep your curiosity brewing.